The rain had already soaked through Robert's expensive coat by the time he fell to his knees beside the headstone. He didn't care. He pressed both hands over his face as if trying to hold in years of regret. "I'm sorry, Lily. I'm so sorry," he whispered, voice cracking in a way that none of his employees, business partners, or admirers had ever heard. The billionaire who could change markets with a signature now trembled like a lost child at the grave of the daughter he believed he'd pushed away forever. Just a few yards away, hidden beneath an umbrella and oversized hood, a young woman watched him with wide, aching eyes. Her breath hitched every time he spoke her name. She had imagined this moment 1,000 times but never thought she'd have the courage to witness it. Her father weeping over a grave that didn't hold her. She was alive. But he didn't know. She wasn't ready for him to know. Not yet. Robert touched the little ceramic bird she had made when she was 10, now resting atop the stone. His fingers lingered and he closed his eyes. "I should have been there," he whispered. "I should have chosen you over everything else." The words drifted through the cemetery like fragile confessions, carried by the wind straight into the ears of the daughter who once believed he didn't care at all. She remembered the night she left home. The slammed doors, the misunderstanding, the heated words spoken out of frustration rather than truth. She had been young, scared, and desperate to be seen. When her message went unanswered, she convinced herself he simply didn't want her around anymore. It took years to understand that the silence she thought was rejection had been caused by her father collapsing from stress that same night and spending weeks in the hospital. Robert had searched for her relentlessly, but she had vanished into the world, too afraid to look back. Now, watching him crumple beside a false grave, she realized he had never stopped looking. The cemetery caretaker had made a mistake 2 years earlier, an administrative mix-up that led Robert to believe she died in an accident. She hadn't meant for him to think that forever. She wrote him letters explaining the truth, but fear always stopped her from sending them. How could she face the man she'd abandoned? How could she walk back into a life she had walked away from? Robert's shoulders shook as he whispered again, "I would give everything I own just to have one more conversation with you." His voice carried the weight of a father who finally understood that wealth meant nothing compared to the one person he had truly loved. The daughter behind him pressed a hand against her mouth to keep her sob from escaping. For years she'd blamed him for choosing work over her. But watching him now, raw and human and shattered, she understood the truth. He hadn't chosen work. He'd chosen survival. And for the first time, she wondered if he had been hurting as much as she had. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small, folded photo, the two of them at a playground, her in his arms, both laughing. He placed it gently at the base of the headstone. "You were the best thing I ever had," he whispered. "And I didn't realize it until you were gone." That was the sentence that broke her. She stepped forward before her courage could disappear. Her heart slammed against her ribs. The distance between them felt like a lifetime, yet it was only a few steps. Rain dripped from her hood as she spoke the softest, trembling word. "Dad!" Robert froze. His breath caught, and he turned slowly, eyes clouded with confusion first. Then disbelief, then overwhelming hope. For a moment he simply stared, afraid that if he blinked, she would vanish like all the dreams he'd lost over the years. She removed her hood, letting him see her clearly. "I'm here," she whispered. I never meant to leave forever." He rose shakily, tears blending with rain. "Lily." His voice cracked around her name. She nodded, and that was enough. He pulled her into a trembling embrace, holding her as though she were made of light and might slip away if he loosened his grip. She hugged him back, feeling years of hurt dissolve between them, replaced by something softer, something that felt like home. They cried, laughed, apologized, and forgave in a single breath. And for the first time in a long while, the rain felt warm instead of cold. Later, as they walked to his car, she took his hand. "You thought you lost a daughter," she said gently. "But I lost a father long before that. And I've missed you every day." Robert squeezed her hand, his voice thick with emotion. "Then let's not lose each other again." And they didn't. The moral was simple but powerful. Sometimes the people we think are gone forever are just waiting for the right moment to return, and sometimes the deepest wounds heal the strongest bonds.